Yeah, so it was, I think it was difficult for me and, kind of challenging for her to, and then, well, like probably like kind of fun to kind of think about, future, well, kind of like ramen noodles, like, we could call kind of future ramen. And yeah, so these are the ingredients, and then like she had the, yeah, it's like actually corn powder, like actually mixed in with the ramen noodle flour. And the rest were like actually, well, usual stuff, but like, yeah, the corn, right? Yeah, that gives you like, certain flavor and, well, actual noodle texture that's pretty interesting. So yeah, let's go into the mixing, like, so making dough. Yeah, and so that's 4 kilograms of solid, 4 kilograms of solid ingredients, right? Uh, that's just because this particular mixer is, well, can mix from 4 kilograms of solid. Like, so that's a minimum batch this particular mixer can do. And so while it's mixing, right, just that solid, she wants to make that water liquid. So that was salt and kansi added to the water, and just making sort of like solution, water solution with salt and cancer in it. Yeah, so first, like we like to just mix that, solid ingredients by themselves, and we want to make sure that like all these the flours do not have like all these like well, crumbles like in chunks of the flours. Like you want to make them like break them as small as possible. And yeah, so it's going to take like 10 minutes to finish mixing, but like, well, of course, like, we hate, right? We hate to waste you guys' time. So maybe we was clever enough, like, have made that dough beforehand. So, and then, yeah, look at the color, right? Look at the color, like, that's really, well, that's actually more yellow than I expected, and I think that's because of the, well, effect vacancy, a chemical reaction that makes the color yellow. And but well, vacancy itself by itself like doesn't do that job, that kind of like the color of that dough like that yellow. And but I think it's the corn, right? Corn powder that's that made that, well, dough like that yellow. And look at the size of the look at the size of the dough, right? Right, that's kind of big, and so that tells you that like there's a lot of like liquid in the dough. So we call this sort of like the hydration, right? So how much water, how much liquid like contained in the dough, and so the bigger the size of the dough, basically the well, yeah, the higher the hydration, there's more water in it, and so that tells you like it's softer. Um, yeah, it's softer as well. Oh wow, wow! It smells like, yeah, it smells a bit like corn too. Um, yeah, I wish you guys. Yeah, I wish there was like some kind of, yeah, some kind of device that like let you guys smell exactly the same smell like you're smelling right now. Wow. Yeah, um, so we are feeding the dough into the rollers, right? And then, just making the sheet of dough, right? And yeah, it's that sheet of dough that's like pretty rough, right? Like, it's easy to wear, I mean, easy to tear, but yeah, but we want to make it firm, like, strong now, so that like, when you bite into them, like bite into the noodles, It's got a lot of bite. Yeah, so this machine, like Richmond one, is actually like made for EU countries where the safety standard called like CE mark is required. Yeah, it's like if you like try to import this machine to like for example like France, right? In country without a CE mark, right? Then uh, we wouldn't be able to like yeah get that past the customs, right? So um, yeah, we'd have to like pay a expensive price of like getting it yeah sent back to Japan. So that's something you have to have like to yeah import into EU countries. But well, likewise, like we have exactly the same model, that's certified for yeah safety standards in the United States, like it's called like NSF, like UL, and then for Canada, like uh, CSA. So yeah, so this particular model, like it's being actually used by a lot of people, like that are operating the restaurants in North America and Europe, and of course like other countries too. But yeah, so first like the sheeting process that's called wrap forming, and it's still fragile. Like the dough is like still like easy to tear. So we want to make it tougher, right? And so um, the way we do that is like we separate it to two sheets, right? Two sheets, right? And then combine them back into one. And so that's how we kind of strengthen the dough. And yeah, so that's pretty simple. And yeah, so it's going in there and coming out. Right, coming out. And yeah, it's way stronger than before. Yeah, and it's it's got like way stronger bite than before. And so this is we call this process like combining process. So we're just combining like two separate sheets into one. Yeah, just looking at the color of the dough, like it's like like it's kind of starting to look like yeah really like corn, colored corn, right? And I think like I smell it too. So yeah, kind of finishing up the first combining process. So it's like it doesn't have to be like exactly the like same length, right? So you can just kind of fold the other side like that's longer to make it even. So and then notice that like how quiet this machine is. Like just you can't even like you don't even like notice that this machine is actually making noodles, right? It's pretty quiet. Like it's well there's actually a speaker. Well, like I'm like standing right next to the machine, but like and then you maybe like hear some sounds that this machine is making, but like you don't hear anything, right? So that's how quiet this machine is. And so a combining process, like we usually do it twice, 1 to 2 times, depending on the recipe, but like just to do it like twice for this one. And so again, like we are combining two separate sheets into one. And yes, here we go. And so after this combining process, like all we do is just thin it, right? Thin it to the final thickness. So, um, well, what we want to do is that, like, from this point on, is like we want to dust it, dust the dough, because this is like pretty wet, like, high in water content, right? So we want to dust it to, prevent it from sticking, right? We don't want to, we don't want the doughs to stick, right? Or like noodles to stick, right? So yeah, what we want to do is just dust, right? Dust the heck out of them. So yeah, and yeah, so this is the automatic duster. That's well connected to the machine, so it's like just that like start dusting like when you goes like switch it on and when you like start like sheeting, so it's in sync with the machine and you can also like control the like volume of dusting, like the like wetter the dough, the more you need to dust, like to make sure that it's not gonna stick, right? Okay, so the second combining is done. So all we have to do is just thin it, right? Thin it to the final thickness. Yeah, thin it to the final thickness, and then just thinning it, right? And then yeah, another thing like this machine can do is like just kind of speed up the sheeting process. And after combining process, like we are kind of going slow because just wanted to make sure that like enough pressure is applied into the dough, right? But like after combining process, like the dough, the or like the gluten structure inside dough is being like developed fully, and so we just have like just thinning, right? So we can go faster, you know, faster. Okay, and then another thing that, I think this is gonna be like the yeah, like second time, like she's eating, like I don't know from the second combining process. Another thing is that like we need to so like we should gradually thin it, not drastically, so that like we want to like we can ensure that the dough, right? The noodle structure, like texture, the dough is like, it's gonna be intact, like, it's not gonna be damaged. So gradual thinning is something, we should do. And so, uh, just so like reducing the roller gap by 30%, like, every round of sheeting. So that's the kind of basic rule that, we apply to sheeting process. Yeah, so that's a lot of dusting going on. Okay, so let's see, the actual thickness is 1.9-ish, 1.9-ish, and but like it's gone through actually 1.5 millimeter in roll gap. So that means that like that dough was like just bounced back like by 0.4 and 0.5. So yeah, it's like this is dough, so dough made of like wheat flour. So it bounces back like after it's gone through the roller gap. So we have to watch out, like the actual like there's a difference between like actual thickness and the roller gap that we said. The actual thickness is like always bigger, yeah, than the So this is the kind of kata we use, and like this is the square number 10 kata. So that means like 3 millimeter in width. Each noodle strand is going to be like 3 millimeter in width. Yeah, so we're going to cut it. We're going to cut it, right? And so the yeah, we're going to cut it, and each groove is 3 millimeter in width, and so it's going to be, I think, like I'm guessing, like that's going to be the like kind of flat noodles, you know. Okay, so we want to connect the conveyor. Well, to have like some height, right? When you know, catch noodles, and because you know you have to like, yeah, like see like in a kind of posture, like that's gonna will hurt your back. You know, if you just you, you have to like do it like every day. So we have a conveyor to increase the height of where you catch the noodles. And all right, noodles are coming now, and yeah, we got the beautiful noodles, and they're flat, right? And um, so another useful kind of practical feature that this machine has is that like you can yeah, you can just like change the length, right? You can change the length of noodle, so that means you're changing the portion size of noodles. So basically, the longer the noodles, you know, the bigger the portion size. So that's kind of like, you know, who you're aiming at, right? Who's the target market, right? Like if you are targeting like you know, college like male students, then you know you want to have like, you know, well, bigger portion size. But like if you're targeting like, you know, well, um, yeah, like, you know, maybe family of, I don't know, five, like, you know, with 3 kids or something, then you may want to have like a kind of alternating portion size, like, you know, for their kids, and like for their like dad, like for their mom, like. But yeah, but like this is very easy to do. Like you just have to set the volume to a certain length so that yeah, just noodles come out like in a certain portion size, like, you know, consistently. So all right, so we have future ramen noodles, Vietnamese version. So let's go to the kitchen where our instructor is waiting with our future ramen. Okay, so it's kind of dark, but like um, it's kind of dark, but like yeah, um, yeah, this is our showroom, and it's like, yeah, imagine it's a Friday night in Japan, and then you know, everyone's kind of, well, kind of in a kind of weekend mood, but this is our kitchen, right? This is our kitchen, and we have instructors, and she has like some dishes prepared for us. Yeah, so it's great. Miss Sano is our instructor, our ramen school, noodle school, and then so we thank her for yeah, they're coming up with ideas for like future ramen, and then you know, showing us our version. So thank you. Okay, so thank you very much. Yeah. サルモネ。 Okay. Okay, so there are two types of ramen, like a future ramen, like she's gonna do, and like one of them is like she calls like taco rice style, like mixed ramen noodles, and then another one is like salmoreo tsukemen. I'm sure like I'm pronouncing it wrong, but yeah, but that's her, yeah, her drawings as well. So like it's pretty cute. Yeah. So yeah, she's going to cook the noodles first. Okay, so we're gonna do the tsukemen first, right? It's like she's going to cook them.
で、一応3分で茹でていきます。
Okay, so the cooking time is like 3 minutes.
まあ、茹でるんですけど、しっかり沸騰しているところに入れるようになるので、もう少し待ってください。
Okay, so yeah, one point, like one tip, like she can give, like when cooking noodles is that like you have to have like water, well, boiling and like rolling boiling. So like it has to be like kind of well, you have to have like like kind of violent the bubbles like coming up like from the boiler, right? Like the cooker. So, and then another thing like is that like this is a ramen noodle cooker, and it's like it has like individual basket, right? Individual spots that like each of these baskets go, and then notice this like faucet, right? And then this runs actually hot water, I mean soft water, right? Soft water and hot water. And then I think like we talked about like the importance of like soft water. Soft water is like really important like when it comes to like cooking noodles, because it shortens the cooking time. So if you're cooking noodles, you need to use soft water. And then hot water, right? Runs hot water, so that yes. So
じゃあ入れますね。
okay, so let's start, right? So it runs hot water so that like when the water gets dirty, right, with the like constant and everything, the efficiency of like cooking like drops, right? So you want to well have like hot water running to it to sort of like kind of keep it clean. Okay, so 3 minutes.
じゃあ今から3分茹でていきます。ちょっと盛り付けの、方法をご紹介します。
Okay, so while we're waiting for the noodles.
この下に、麺が一応あります。
Okay, so the top like how to plate it, right? So like there's a noodles like he don't like kind of buried underneath.
で、その上に、レタスが乗ります。
Okay, so like and then like in the top of the noodle like lettuce, right?
で、ひき肉が乗ります。
And then like ground meat on top,
で、チーズと、温泉卵。
and then cheese and then like like egg like that's like more half boiled egg.
はい、で、あとトマトと、色がついた葉っぱを周りにします。
Okay, so like tomatoes and like some the color like leafy vegetable like that's to add like in different colors.
で、一応、大和の麺学校で、お伝えしているのが、混ぜ麺とかだと麺が見えないように盛り付けるっていう方法を教えているので、今回もその方法で盛り付けます。
Okay, so yeah, at Yamato Ramen School, like we teach, the plating as a plating technique. We plate them like in a way that the noodles are kind of like hidden, like invisible, well, like buried underneath the toppings. So that's how she's going to plate it.
あと1分半ですね。
Okay, so 130 minutes.
あんまりこの茹で生がボコボコしすぎても肌荒れするので麺がちょっとお水を足しながら調整していきます。
Yeah, so it's like if you have that like cooking cooker like boiling like violently, then that's also going to damage the like surface of noodles too. So yeah, we want to sort of like kind of control the temperature, the cooking, the boiling, right? By kind of like adding a bit of like water, which is hot, and or like well controlling the temperature of the cooker.
はい、130秒ぐらいですね。一応ここに盛り付けの食材が
Okay, so 30 more seconds, and so she prepared like all these toppings that like she's gonna plate the dish. So taco rice is something like really casual and kind of a home meal, well, which is actually rice, right? Like instead of like noodles, like this rice. So that's another kind of example, like kind of combining different thing with the ramen to come up with something new. Okay. Okay, so Uh, I'm going to wash the noodles to get rid of starch. Okay, so yeah, it's like so we chill. I chill the noodles, right, and then like when we plate the noodles, we want to make the noodle like as straight as possible. So kind of like letting them like swim like in the water, and then like kind of combing them through to like make them straight before I plate it. Yeah, so like it's like combing the hair, right, um, and then kind of try to like get rid of like as much water as possible, so that it's not going to dilute the soup. Oh, okay. Ah, that's good. Okay, so this is going to be tsukemen dish, and so that's the how it's going to be plated. Okay, so tsukemen dish because tsukemen dish like it has like dipping sauce in a separate bowl. Okay, all right. So let's see how she plates it.
共につけていきますね。これが焼いたベーコンです。
Okay, so that's a thick grilled like bacon, and the slice of tomato, and another thick slice of bacon, and kind of sandwiching the slice of tomato, and so this is a kind of leek, kind of cutting like in a kind of special way, like kind of shreds of leeks. Um, that's like at that top, right, and then that's like a bowl of cauliflower, and then broccoli, and that's a yeah flavored egg, flavored half boiled like egg, half like soft boiled egg, and that's the chili pepper.
で、このつけ麺のソースなんですけど、
And the sauce for the tsukemen, right?
トマトと、ニンニクを潰して、お酢とオリーブオイルで伸ばしてます。
Okay, so this is a sauce for the tsukemen dish, right? And then like so there's tomato and garlic, and then vinegar, and then yeah, so like she crushed the tomato like in garlic, right? And then like kind of dilute it with vinegar and vinegar at the stove. What's the
お酢と、オリーブオイル。
olive oil? Yeah, vinegar and olive oil. So vinegar and olive oil being like kind of liquid, and like tomato and garlic.
で、これがゆで卵っていうか、煮卵の白身だけ刻んだ卵。
Okay, so that's the yeah, so that's boiled egg, but like just white, kind of chopped up, right?
で、チャーシューじゃない、ベーコン刻んだもの。
So that's the like chopped up bacon.
これがオリーブオイルです。
And that's the olive oil.
最後に三つ葉をのせます。三つ葉です。
So that's the kind of herb that like olive like that we have in Japan, and yeah, that's a green color, right? And that's done for the tsukemen.
先につけ麺完成です。
Yeah, I think that's a beautiful contrast between like green and like the pink of tomato. So beautiful. But like that's unlike with like unlike any kind of like tsukemen dish. That's that's a conventional tsukemen dish, Japan. Okay, so
で、次すいません、混ぜ麺作ります。
okay, so next up, like that's mazemen, and these are the noodles we use for mazemen.
で、大体この細さだと1分半から40秒ぐらい。
So this is kind of like thinner, well than before, right? No, no, like tsukemen noodles. So it's the cooking time like would be like maybe 1 minute and 30 seconds.
入れていきます。タコライス風なんですけど、タコライスっていうと、そのひき肉とご飯を混ぜて食べる感じになるんですけど、麺にするので、麺に味がつかないので、ちょっと醤油だれを入れてあげます。
Yeah, so taco rice is like again like casual dish that like we probably eat at home like or some like casual restaurant, and then usually instead of like noodles we are served with rice, right? And then we mix up like rice and like kind of seasoned ground meat, right? And but like because this is gonna be noodles, so um, like noodles themselves, like, be like kind of hard to like mix up with that ground beef, I mean ground meat, seasoned ground meat. So we're going to actually cover the noodles with the sauce. The sauce that's like based on like kind of motodare kind of sauce.
10秒ぐらいですね。もうちょっとできます。
Okay, so 10 more seconds and okay.
で、水気はちょっとしっかりして切ります。
Yeah, so we need to like strain the water as much as possible.
で、これ醤油の素だれが入ってます。
And then this is a motodare, like that's kind of soy sauce, tare.
で、もう麺に味のくらい少し入れます。
And so just, add a little bit of like tare, right? And then just kind of mix them up and then to, cover the noodles with the tare. Okay, so I'm gonna plate the noodles. Yeah, so I'm gonna be plating these leafy vegetable like it's like kind of burying the noodles, right? Like with the leaf vegetables. Okay, so this is the ground, kind of seasoned like ground meat. Right, so like seasoning, as for seasoning, like I added like just a bit of like chili powder and stuff like that to make it like hot, spicy. Right, so I want to place like an egg like in the center, so just make some bit of a dent for the egg to be placed in there. Okay, so poached egg. Okay, so that's like pretty thinly shredded cheese. Okay, so like avocados and the baby leaves. Yeah, so they're just gonna sprinkle the avocado like around it, right? Yeah, so for the baby leaves, like I'm just gonna use the ones that are like kind of purple, and the greens. Yeah, so like I want to use like some like colors that are different, right, from what's already in there. So instead of green, no, I want to use purple. Okay, so the red, tomato. Okay, so so that's a lime like that's kind of cut like in that way, like yeah. Right, so like yeah, the ground meat, kind of seasoned like spicy, so like it may be like too spicy for some people, like so for those people like they can like get like some zest of lime to like make it mild. Okay, so okay, I think she mentioned about like I think that one's like a chip of Doritos, right? Okay, so that's the mazamen, taco rice style mazamen. Yeah, so two dishes. Well, there are, unlike any of the like ramen dishes, but like you've ever seen before, and but like, it's these are just two examples, like combining like ramen with like different, something that already exists, right? And so, but by doing that, like you can create something new and some like your customers like would love, right? So, yeah, it's worth a shot, and yeah, like just try it and see if yeah, whether your customer like it or not. And then instead of like going to Mexican restaurant like across the street, like they may like want to try your ramen dish, right? Like because that's basically like Mexican and like you know um so yeah, that's that kind of like our try, right? Our try like attempt to like kind of like do that our version of like ramen 2.0, like or a 6.2 something or some but yeah, who knows, right? Next generation ramen, and like as Abraham Lincoln said, like the best way to predict the future is to create it, right? So by yeah, just like creating your own like version of like future ramen, you can might as well like predict it. And so yeah, let's try making your own version ramen, the future ramen, and so that's a message we have like for this class. So thank you so much for joining us, and then don't forget, right? Check out our website. Stay safe. So thank you so much. Bye bye.